Hello and welcome to another episode of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. As always, I'm your host, Kelby Bachman, and please give it up for the next guest on the show, Ty Copsey. So, Ty is from Glenwood, Iowa, where he describes himself as a late bloomer. He was a 3-time state qualifier, 2-time state finalist, and a state champ his senior year. Ty's upward trajectory continued at Augustana University as he became just the third 4-time All-American in Vikings history. He was recently inducted into the Augustana Athletics Hall of Fame for his accomplishments. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy Ty Copsey. In the heart of West Union, Iowa, lies a hidden gem in Euphoria Coffee. Owned by local residents Nicole and Shane Havenstreit, they source everything they can from local vendors. From hot and iced drinks, to savory breakfast burritos, to baked goods, to botany tea, and even homemade waffles, Euphoria Coffee is a place your entire family can enjoy. You can find more information at drinkeuphoria.coffee2go.com or visit their Facebook page. And we also have a special gift just for you. Next time you stop in, you can get a free baked good with a $20 purchase. Just mention the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. Euphoria Coffee. Our purpose is deeper than coffee.
Brandon Mason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember, because we're all from the same area, and I still remember to this day going up to Regional Plains with Brandon and all the Lewis Central crew, like Jimmy Waters, Sam, all those idiots. So
yeah, idiots, huh?
Well, they tried to recruit. So I remember back it was 2004. They tried to recruit me over to LC from Glenwood. I kept loyal to my fan base to Glenwood. So
good for you. Was that a difficult decision? Like,
no,
were you actually entertaining it or not? Or was
I was. It was something, because you got to look at it this way. They're winning championships in 3A. They're getting more publicity. They're getting more attention. There's more recruits looking at Lewis Central than Glenwood, Iowa. Let's be frank. If you're a D1 college recruit, or coach, you're looking at 3A as opposed to 2A. The higher classes usually get the more attention. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, you kind of garnered some attention by the end of it all, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it took. I came on late. I would say I was like a late bloomer in high school. Freshman year didn't do much. Sophomore year just went to state, and I was happy to see the lights. And then junior year and senior year, I kind of put it together.
What made you a late bloomer? Like, did you start wrestling late, or did it just not?
I think puberty hit me differently at around 16.
Yeah.
So it took, let's see here. I mean, I started wrestling. I mean, we moved to Iowa when I was in second grade, and I started wrestling right away. Kind of mad at my parents because I thought wrestling was like chairs and WWF, Hulk Hogan, all that stuff. For some reason, when I went there, I'm like kind of pissed off. There's no chairs. There's no masks. So, then stuck it out. Did pretty well in little kids, but I was the fat kid that you had a bracket of like 10 at state. So I placed at state a couple times, and then got into Bob Dyer was the head coach from like 1980s to 2006, I believe. And so Bob ran a pretty strict regimen, I would say. He was always nowadays they wrestle smart, not hard.
Yeah.
We used to hard, not smart. He used to tell us to run through a wall, and we'd say how fast, so. But I mean, I think it's just a late bloomer. Puberty hit later, and then figured out like, all right, I can compete with these guys. I can do better with the higher competitive guys.
Yeah. Did you play soccer at all with like, I don't know, Mitch?
With artists? Yeah. No. I did a couple years, but that was just because Mitch Artist was kind of a stud goalie for Glenwood. And then we had a pretty good team. We always lost to like Norwalk or something. They always got like third at state. But no, they talked me out for it. But I was too big. I'm not a soccer player. This body's not meant for soccer.
Did you do then like football?
Yep. So did football for
go.
all 4 years. That was, that was a fun experience. I mean, that kept us ready for wrestling. It was more or less to keep us in shape for wrestling, because if we didn't do anything, we'd get all fat and our weight would get out of control. So
yeah. Where did you move from? You said you moved when in second grade. Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm originally from Omaha.
Hey, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, originally from Omaha. Parents moved there just for, they wanted a smaller rural area to grow up the kids, because my dad, small town in Nebraska, maybe 1,000 people where he's from. So he wanted a smaller rural area for us to grow up in. And, I liked it. I thrived in it. I like the feel of the small town. So.
Yeah. And were you 2A the whole time you were there? Because I know at times they've fluctuated.
Yeah, they jump around from 1A to 2. They jump around all the time. They go to 3A to 2A. I'm always, because I there's been a few times where after I graduated, they jumped up to 3A, and I was kind of confused by it. And I'll text but after I graduated, I think Matt Dyer, the son of Bob Dyer, took over for 3 years, and I was always confused of why they're jumping around. And it's not like their enrollment went up too significantly, so they must have been on that little cusp where if your enrollment goes up so much, so much.
Yeah. I went to Glenwood. I don't know if they were doing this back in the day. Isn't
that funny?
Oh my gosh. I didn't mean that. I don't know if they were doing this back when you were in high school, but there was like this horror, I don't know, it's for Halloween. They did something in Glenwood, and it was kind of cool. I mean, it was like a 45-minute to an hour experience where you like walk through this haunted house, and I don't know if they did that when you were around.
They didn't do that when I was around. I think that started more in the late 2000s,
okay.
2009. I mean, I was already, once I went to college, I never pretty much came back.
Really?
Once I was competing collegially, it was like a full-time job. So I came back every once in a while for homecoming, said hi to some friends, but once I was in college, I was pretty much stuck there. So
yeah. So I guess what kept you out for wrestling? Like you show up and you're like, this isn't Goldberg. This isn't The Undertaker. This isn't Hulk Hogan. What are we doing? Why? Like, what made you even just continue to keep going when you were that?
The first year, I'll be honest with you, I was in second grade, and I cried for my mom to let me out. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to quit. And she's like, you're not quitting. Like that, it's not happening. And so then she made me stick it out. I ended up towards the end of the year liking it, because I mean, you go there in second grade, and Glenwood's kind of like a rich wrestling history where they're predominantly in the 90s, early 2000s, pretty tough. And so then we had a pretty stacked room with artists, Ronnie Cates, Billy Meredith, Ryan Collins, and I can go on and on.
Yeah.
So, I was just getting beat on left and right. I had no idea, because these kids have been wrestling with it, because like I said, like Artist's dad is, his older brothers all wrestled. He wrestled. Brian Collins is the same way. He had an older brother, Eric Collins. Brian Collins' dad, Pat Collins, was the head coach for the Optimus program. So, like, I was just getting beat on. I was a rag doll.
Yeah.
And so then, Mom, I don't want to do this. Like, get beat on. So she yelled at me, told me to stick it out and stop being a pansy. Stuck it out, liked it. Ended up building, relationships. I just moved to Glenwood. So pretty much friendships pretty much kept me out for it.
Yeah. And then did you do the whole like youth circuit of sports? Like, did you try kind of everything?
Yeah, I dabbled in everything. I wasn't, nowadays they try to stick to one sport. I don't know if you see that a lot, but a lot of people try to stick to that one sport, which I'm not going to say advertise for one or the other, but I was an advocate. Try every sport, do everything, find your niche, find what you like, because they all translate. Every movement, from football to even soccer. I mean, everything translates. All the body awareness, everything. So I'm a big advocate of letting the kids do everything they can, and eventually, I mean, nowadays they just in high school they pick one sport and stick to it. So It
Mhm.
is.
Yeah. Was there another sport that stuck out to you that you really enjoyed, or
Oh yeah,
another extracurricular, I guess?
I mean football, of course.
Yeah.
I was always the striper. You remember the stripers in football?
The striper, no.
So stripers, you'd have a red strap or like a red stripe around your head, and you were too big to run the ball, so you couldn't.
What?
You were the yeah. We had stripers when we were young, and we called them the stripers. And I was a, for lack of better terms, I was the fat kid, and I
Mhm.
couldn't get the ball, and I always wanted to be like the fullback or the running back. And they're like, no,
Yeah.
you're too fat, you can't get the ball.
So they just, I guess, assume put you on the line.
Yeah, they put me on the line. I was DN, and then because Glenwood was small, you'd play both. You'd go offense and defense. You didn't
Mhm.
have a, and so then you just get your. I mean, when you're young, you didn't care. I mean, in high school, your body took. I mean, to this day, I'll say this: like football. I mean, I completed collegiately up until I was 23 in wrestling. I was never more sore in football than I was any time in wrestling. So football was a different kind of sore. Like you woke up and
Really?
I could barely move.
Yeah.
Different ballpark.
Did you ever get a carry?
Oh yeah. So
All
eventually in high
right.
transition into like so in little leagues, Pop Warner football, they didn't give me the ball.
Yeah.
I was the fat guy that would block. So
Mhm.
that was the meat shield is what I called it. So eventually in high school, I hit a puberty and I grew up to 6'1", and they're like, all right, well we're gonna put you in at fullback, and I played linebacker. Um, and yeah, eventually I got the ball, but you know I wasn't as shifty as I thought I was.
Yeah, I bet you were so excited when they were like, Copsey, you're in. Like, woohoo! Like, let's go.
You wouldn't believe. Yeah, no, it was an excitement, and then I remember my first run. It actually we had it was a 32 trap. It was right behind the center, and to this day, the first run I fumbled the ball.
Oh, no way.
Hey, Cops, get over here! And I'm like, here we go.
Did you redeem yourself though? And
I did.
all right.
I ended up having. It was against Lewis Central. Actually, I ended up having over 100 yards. They kind of beat the dog piss out of us that year. It was at LC. That was one of the biggest rivalries in like even in college and to this day like I've ever seen in high school. I mean, I coached at Miller West for wrestling for about 5 to 6 years, and still to this
Really?
day, this rivalry is something I have never seen in sports in this area in this era even. So, I mean, when I would say like football and wrestling, the stands would be packed. The KTV News Watch 7 would be there. It was wild. I think maybe due part to the amount of athletes they had. I mean, the Stamps, Brandon Mason, you had Waters, you had artists, me. I mean, the amount of and then you got to put it into account like there's Scotty Hazen up in Underwood. I mean, there's all these studs in Southwest Iowa at the time where we played football and wrestling. So, and then we'd always and we know they're on the team. And Jimmy was always the running back, and so it's like, all right, we gotta nick Jimmy up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, because you know you're going to compete against him in wrestling. So you're like,
I know you're gonna beat somebody up in wrestling against us.
yeah. Dang. So that's crazy. So the Lewis Central Glenwood rivalry was like heated back in your day
Yeah,
when you
no,
were
I
competing.
still remember
Wow.
it was a 2000. So 2006 it was at Glenwood. 2005 was at Lewis Central, and we were ranked second or first at the time. It was either us or
Really?
in 2A,
Dang.
and Lewis Central was I think nationally ranked, and they just got off beat a nationally ranked team, Scott, because Scott was back in the early 2000s loaded also with a bunch of studs. So they just got off beaten like the week before. Lewis Central went up to Omaha, kind of beat Scott up a little bit, and then in 2005 we came up. We were pretty stacked dual team. We weren't like I would say like at every weight we were good. We weren't great. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we had a good wrestler at each weight. It's like if you and they knew their job. Like if you had Jimmy Waters, you're not going to get pinned. Like
Mhm.
that's our mentality. Like hey, if you had Jimmy
Yeah,
or one of the
of
studs, like
course.
hey, your plan is not to get pinned. I mean, so and then I still remember that duel. We walked in and it was packed from like the moment we walked in, and the chants were going back and forth. Um, one side was Glenwood, one side was Lewis Central, like the news was there. It was wild. And so as a junior in high school, you're just kind of like, wow, I've never seen like this. People are yelling at you.
Mm-hmm.
The fan section was wild. They were chanting, just like football. It was wild, and we knew about everybody. So it was a very unique atmosphere that I haven't ever seen recreated since that time.
How'd you do?
Oh yeah, we beat them. So we went ahead and so it's funny because after college I moved back to Omaha, and Jimmy Waters and I were roommates for, I don't know, 4 to 5 years, and I still give him flack about it because every year we were undefeated against Lewis Central. We never, my freshman year we lost, but we really didn't get our pieces until my sophomore to my senior year, and we were a 3-time Hawkeye champ, dual and team wise.
Wow.
So Jimmy always is like, yeah, you guys are the best team in the backside constellations, because we wouldn't have that many champs. We'd have like me and Artis, but like LC would have 4 or 5 champs. We'd have 2, but then we'd have everybody on the backside getting third. And he's like, way to go, you won the backside constellation champ. I did nothing.
Wow. Dang, 3. Well, yeah, you won 3 straight years against Lewis Central. I bet that. I mean, see, so I'm from Northeast Iowa, so back in the early 2000s, we didn't, and I've said this, people have said this on my podcast over and over, we didn't have the resources. So like I wasn't really aware of Glenwood and Lewis Central as much. Like you kind of knew, you heard about them, especially when you went to state, but like this is all new to me, and moving here to Omaha, like I'm getting acquainted with Lewis Central and Glenwood and like Western Iowa, like,
yeah.
So this is kind of fun to hear, like, man, there's Smash Mouth wrestling going on everywhere. It's kind of hyping me up.
It was something that I wish, because I've never been to. You're right. You don't hear about anything on the west side of Iowa. Because I remember going to state, and it's like wrestling these kids that I've never heard of from. Yeah, and I'm like, I have no idea who the hell these kids. And there wasn't anything during that time where you could just look up, and like nowadays you just look up and watch them on Flow. I'm like, oh, I've seen that kid wrestle. Like back then, you hear of the names, like the big names. I'm trying to think of some from your area. I'm drawing blanks here because I know Romeo Domessi was from Waverly Shell Rock, and he was a stud back in.
Right. Yeah.
He was a scary man-child. I'm trying to think of some other people that are from that area, or kind of the western side of the state.
I don't know. Geez, yeah, in 2006.
2005, 2006,
2005, 2006.
Because I know Emmitsburg's not on the west; it's more central Emmitsburg.
Right. Vinny Wagner.
Okay, yeah, from Osage. Yeah, Vinny Wagner used to wrestle my buddy Ronnie Cates and kind of take it to him. But he was always, I think he wrestled 71 all the time. Then there was Theo Laughlin. He's from Independence.
Oh, yep. There you go. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of names here off the top of my head of guys that were from the western side, but I can't even think of like some high school teams.
But there you go. There's a couple. It's funny because like the way you were looking at them, we were looking at you guys going, Ty Copsey from Glenwood. Where is Glenwood for one?
Yeah.
And they were like, gosh, okay, he's coming in with this awesome record. Gosh, has he wrestled anybody? Like totally naive.
The comment back in the day.
Yeah, we're totally naive to the fact that you guys actually were wrestling out here like Underwood. So tough.
I mean, Underwood was loaded too. They were, that early 2000s, late 90s, they were really loaded with the Koenigs, Danny DeVilla.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So they were loaded, and then I think the head coach then was Matt Dyer, Bob Dyer's son.
Oh yeah, okay.
So he had a handful, and I think the Underwood ended up getting second or third, somewhere around there, with Matt Dyer. But during that era, I mean, Southwest Iowa was pretty loaded. I mean, I'm leaving out a handful of names. I can go on.
Yeah. But as far as Glenwood's concerned, when you went to state, it seemed like you, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was just never a time where you guys completely put it together to where you could have gotten to where you thought you could have been. You know what I mean? Like,
I know exactly.
Hate to bring up that, scars, but yeah, like you were saying, you're ranked number 2 in dual team. You're beating Lewis Central, and just you could never get over that hump.
We never could. No, I don't know what it, people I'd often hear like it's hard to wrestle with the lights on you. We'd wrestle well above average all year long and beat teams that we probably shouldn't have beat. I mean, we'd go to a big Kansas tournament, Bayshore, Kansas tournament. That was a 32 team tournament. We'd go win that with national, ranked teams there. Then we go to the state tournament in Iowa under the limelight and the pressure, and it's a different atmosphere at state. And I think we mentally, physically, we were there. We were probably one of the best in team shapes in high school. Bob ran us wild. He made sure that we might not have been the most technically sound, but we were brawlers. Like we came to fight, or as Jimmy Waters would say, we played the edge well.
Oh God! So coming from a baseball player.
Yeah, right. That's like easy. So, I would say it was the pressure. A lot of kids, 15, 16-year-old kids didn't know how to handle the pressure. We went into state knowing that we were. Because sophomore year we came out of nowhere. Junior year people knew about us. Senior year people knew about us. Senior year we had 3 in the finals. It was me, Mitch Artis, Ryan Collins. Mitch had a stacked weight each year. I think he was one of the better wrestlers not to win a state title easily. I think his senior year he had obviously Justin Kerber, who went on to wrestle at Cornell, I believe.
Yeah.
And still that match is one of the craziest matches. And then the match there's 2 crazy matches. I remember him in the state finals with Justin Kerber, and then the sophomore year matchup between him and Waters and Jimmy, and that was a wild match. So at state though, I just think the pressure got to a lot of our kids that were supposed to place, 5th through 3rd, because we had a handful of kids. We took 13 one year. I think it was my sophomore year.
You guys took a lot to state. You guys would bring a bunch.
We took 13 sophomore year, 10 or 12 my junior year, and then senior year we were more of a tournament team. We'd have because we'd have me, like I said, Mitch Artis, and Ryan Collins win just about every tournament, and then we'd have. I think our weakest team was probably my senior year overall dual wise, but tournament team, we had a pretty stacked team. But then again, we had just kids that couldn't put it together. I don't want to name any names because
that's fine. Yeah.
I look back and I think it's like, if he would have done this, or if he would have placed here, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I'm not names, but there are things that heck, I could have done more. I could have my senior year. I made it to the finals, but I didn't get a pin each time. So there's always something. If you do your job and you win, you should do well. But we always found a way to choke under the pressure. So,
and also, I guess other teams rose to the occasion and outplaced their seeds and what their expectations were. So, it wasn't all just that you guys just wet the bed. Other teams also, it was kind of a combination. I'm sure that doesn't make it any less painful to kind of think about, because you guys were again doing this and talking with Mitch Artis and learning more about Glenwood, and I was there for a tournament for our high school team, went there for a tournament, and seeing all these names, I'm like, wow, I had no idea. I just kind of forgot, or I was naive, I was on the opposite side of the state, and
you had no idea.
I had no idea.
No, I get it.
So, but for you yourself, interestingly, you went 0-2 as a sophomore, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in the state finals. I know you said puberty, but was there at least a little practice being put in there too?
Yeah, no, there was a lot of practice. Over the summer. So after my freshman year, it was, I was maybe a 500 wrestler, maybe. Still haven't hit puberty. I was short, not even 5'8", and then I grew up my sophomore year. I think the more I think about it, I could have placed my sophomore year, but it's like your first time at state.
For sure.
Under the lights, the pressure, it was kind of like, oh man, there are all these big names here that you can remember. They're going to go for the 4-timers. And so, it was a lot of pressure. And then, so my junior year, put it together pretty well. I was on it was a I mean,
Well,
it was
you were also wrestling 189 as a sophomore.
yeah, that is true. I mean, I was just I probably wrestling 189 as a 178-pound soaking wet too.
Really?
Um, yes.
Oh, because Ronnie Cates was there at 71.
Yep, Ronnie Cage was at 71, and so that it just made the team better. Could I have gone 71 and probably yeah, I could have, but you know what I mean, like it made the team better. So I went 89, and it worked out for everybody on both ends because Ronnie ended up making it to state. And the funny that's he wrestled Vinny, I think, round 1. So it was like, all right.
He had Matt Reese from Albia.
Was it?
He had Matt Reese from Albia.
He wrestled. It might have been his junior year that he wrestled Vinny then, because I know it was one year at state he had Vinny Wagner. It might have been his junior or senior year. I can't remember. But then my junior year, and you're gonna probably call me out on these because I don't have any of the brackets. I don't remember any of the brackets. My junior year kind of fell together pretty well. I think it was he's from Sioux City, Heelan. He was an Iowa State recruit. Oh, Joe Curran in the finals. And I wasn't a very big 89 pounder my junior year. I didn't in the summer. Artist and I and we'd go wrestle everywhere. I mean, we'd be in Clarinda.
Really?
We'd be. Massey had so it's funny I say this. So Massey had. He'd have like open mat, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And so open mat would include anybody from, and it was wild because I still remember telling all the kids this that I coached, like we didn't really have like organized wrestling. It was just they'd open up. It was like an abandoned church. They'd open up an abandoned church, throw a couple mats in that sucker, and people from Underwood would come, Clarinda, Creston, Glenwood, Lewis Central. We'd all come there. We weren't friends with each other though. We wouldn't go and be like, hey, like nowadays you see them, they'll walk up and be like, hey buddy, how are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference between my generation. We weren't friends with our competition. We want to go up and be like, hey Jimmy, what's going on? What are you doing this weekend? Like they do that now. We'd go there and it'd be quiet. You couldn't hear a single thing drop when you get there. You just hear people strapping up their boots and getting ready to go. And I was thinking it's 2 days a week we'd go up there, and it was literally Massey would open up the abandoned church, and everybody from Southwest Iowa would just go and beat on each other. It was just a brawl. Mm-hmm. And by the time you could literally slide across the mat with how much sweat, because it was so humid and sticky. Mm-hmm. But like we wouldn't talk to each other. We would drill for about 10-15 minute stretch, and then it was live for an hour, and we would just scrap and bang and get everything. We wouldn't say anything afterwards. We would be like, hey, good job. Like, put our stuff on and we walk out.
Did he kind of at least control the room a little bit? Like when goes or like, did you guys just, okay.
Yeah. So it was controlled. It's a matter of like, all right, you blow the whistle, but I mean, it wouldn't show any technique. It was just, hey, come and scrap, get better.
Wow.
And it's kind of that what they say, steel sharpens steel. Like that's kind of what it was. I mean, you'd be wrestling kids that were your competition, you know what I mean? So, and you'd see, like I said, all the studs from Underwood, all the studs from Glenwood, all the studs from Lewis Central, TJ, AL, Creston, some people from Clarinda would show up. It is an open mat. You didn't have to pay anything. You'd literally just show up and we would just beat on each other.
Nice. I want to see this abandoned church. Is it still around? Is it still up, or have they turned into something else?
I'm trying to remember because I remember walking in and because Artist is the one that found out about it, and Artist was like, "Hey, Copsey, you're coming." I'm like, "All right, whatever. Let's go, Mitch." Yeah. So I'd get there and I'd look over and I'm like, "What the heck? Where are we at? Like, am I going to like we aren't going to church?" And so,
just kidding, we are actually.
And so I get in there and it's an old dilapidated church, and he has a couple mats in there, and there's no air conditioning, nothing. Like the windows are open. That's it. That's the only light you can see. I mean, I'm trying to think of where it was in Council Bluffs, but it was a beat up church, and it was to this day. All these, I'll tell kids that I trained. They're like, wrestled in a church? I'm like, yeah, we didn't have the facilities you guys.
Dude, that's awesome. You just, yeah, that's what you did though.
Yeah,
You just kind of showed up and you wrestled and then then you left.
I know. There heard some. I mean, there were always rumors. Like I remember hearing about like because Seabolt was my age too, and he had like there was a barn he had that everybody. There was always a rumor that he had a big barn, and he always had this big barn that he wrestled in, and it's like. You hear these weird places that people wrestle in, and it's like, well, that's what we had back in the day. We didn't have these facilities like these kids do now.
Yeah. Where did you wrestle club-wise?
Club-wise, so started out at Glenwood and just ended with Glenwood.
Yeah.
I know a lot of kids, and because we were so close to Council Bluffs when we thought about entering into BJSA, which was a huge club. I mean, the big names that come out of there, again, I could go on and on and on and name everyone in Southwest Iowa that went through BJSA. But it was Glenwood for the most part. I mean, but you would go and train in other places, and you have more common in today's age where, like Omaha has. I mean, we have Powerhouse, MWC, Nebraska Boys, Midwest Wrestling, or Wrestling with Care. There's so many. Now, and then George Iganoff's
best wrestler.
Yeah. So like you have all these options now, as opposed to like people back then. I
know, right? Huh?
When you say back then, you're right. But people but back then you were very loyal to where you grew up.
Yeah.
And like if you're in a certain area, you're staying in that area's club. There wasn't a lot of jumping around. More or less the parents like, well, we're not driving you 30 minutes to go. Like their parents didn't get it back then. They're like, no, we don't care. You just wrestle in high school and you grow up and find a job. And, so it was a different mentality now than it is now.
Yeah, I didn't know when, because I think MWC started maybe like 2010 or something, 2011. So I didn't know if there was any of those quite ready back when you were growing up and coming through. It was just Glenwood.
I remember, and still to this day, I don't understand how this happens. And I don't get. So the Dominguez is because I've wrestled with them since I was growing up. So it wasn't Eli or Zach so much because they were a little bit older, but it was Esai. Esai was in my wrestled. We wrestled Creighton Prep, I think 2 or 3 times, and so we'd always see Esai. And Esai was funny because Esai he's from Nebraska. But somehow he wrestled for the Iowa team. And I didn't understand quite. I was like, how the hell is this Nebraska boy representing Iowa? Which I didn't care because he was a stud in Greco. So I was like, all right, let him bring more fame to Iowa.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I wonder what, and I'd have to talk to Zach, what the scene was like for Nebraska at that time. Like, because I mean, Iowa has back when you guys were coming through, I mean, we won the junior nationals.
Yeah, no, we were I mean, Iowa in the early 2000s, we were absolutely. I mean, I could go on and say McDonough, Beatty, Borschel,
Morningstar.
Morningstar. I mean, you had names that you could say like household names that you're like, all right, like Waters even, which he still to this day should have gone to wrestling instead of baseball, but I mean, we were stacked. We were loaded as a state for Iowa.
Yeah. When did you start looking at wrestling at the next level?
So that happened after my junior year. I didn't get much attention collegiately. And I would say my junior year was kind of like my breakout year.
Yeah.
I think. God, I might have lost.
But did you even think about it at that point? Like, were you even considering, or what were your like expectations as you were going through high school? Were you just like, I'm gonna do some sports, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna get a job, like your parents were telling you?
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, blue collar parents. You're gonna go do sport. You're gonna learn hard work, which that was part of wrestling. And you're gonna go to college. You're gonna get a job. That was the staple or mentality. You go to school, get a good paying job, you move on in life.
Right.
So the mentality. It wasn't until probably my sophomore year, I mean, I did well my sophomore year. I made it to state. I had an okay record. I wouldn't say it was anything crazy. But then my junior year really kind of exploded onto the scene, did really well. Then I started garnishing a little bit more attention from colleges, but it wasn't anything crazy. I mean, it was your D2s, your D3s, some NAIAs. It wasn't until my senior year then I would get some attention from, your Iowa States, your Iowas, your Nebraskas, your Oklahoma. So then senior year, it's like, all right, he's and again, like I said, I didn't do much outside of the state of because of football, of other sports, and so as far as Fargo and stuff, I didn't do much of that. I was in football camps all summer.
Mm-hmm.
Because my dream and hope was to play football, because I've always been a Husker fan. I was born in Omaha, so I was a huge Husker fan. So my goal was to be a Husker football player.
Of course.
Unfortunately, it was during the terrible era of Bill Callahan, so that all fell apart during that. So it was more or less my senior year. It's like, all right, well, I don't have much for football because there wasn't. I tried for Nebraska, nothing came back.
Really? I was wondering how the football realm was looking for you throughout high school.
I was all team conference, but the Hawkeye conference, I mean, we were smothered by Harlan. Harlan won everyone. Remember Harlan and the they just ran over everybody. So all the attention garnished by Harlan. And so it was, I mean, they were loaded. They had back-to-back championships for their team. So I would say I was okay. I think I was okay. I wasn't anything special, but obviously I excelled more in wrestling and got more attention from wrestling. And at that time, I would say my senior year, going into my senior year, it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna stick to wrestling and see what I can get. See where I can end up at. And so, and I took trips. Artist and I took a trip up to Augustana. We thought it was more for fun than anything, but we took our handful of trips. I took my trip to. There was a Missouri trip. There was a trip to Oklahoma. There was a trip to Iowa State. Then I did a little D2 colleges up in Minnesota, and then a few in South Dakota with Augustana, where I eventually ended up signing. And like I said, everybody's like, well, why didn't you go D1? Why didn't you do? I mean, it was the fit. It was honestly, it was the personality of the coaches, what I was looking for. And that ended up being the best fit for me.
Yeah, because Artist ended up going to Iowa State. So I was wondering how much that played a role to. And maybe it was good you guys didn't end up in the same spot.
No, it's really good we didn't end up in the same spot. We both have been jack wagons and both flunked out of college. Because Mitch and I mean, we're close. We're super close. I mean, we grew up with each other, giving each other crap every day. And then college, he went to Iowa State with Kale. And I think that was just a rough transition for him, meaning going from being the top dog at Glenwood to transitioning to Iowa State, where there's all of them are talking. I think that's back when Kale was bringing in. I mean, he had Varner there. Varner was probably beating on Artist, which doesn't help with the ego. And again, I went up to Augie based on my decision of it's just a better fit for me. And Jason Reitmeyer, and at the time Tom Meester was the assistant coach, and Tom Meester was a man upon boys. The guy,
you're getting beat up by him probably.
Yeah, the guy looked like a Greek god, but I was like, you were created in a lab. You were made for wrestling. So I mean, but yeah, no, Tom, he beat the brakes off me for a good 5 years in college. I mean, there's a couple of times I scrapped with him and got him, but it was every blue moon where you'd walk out, you'd be like, I got him. But Tom was a big decision in going there too, because I mean he's competing with in the worlds with the top 84 pounders in the world. So I was like, this guy is going to make me better. This guy's going to push me. So
Yeah.
that was another big decision.
It wasn't Rhett Meyer's mustache.
Oh, you know what? He didn't have that back. So back in the day, he wasn't a stash rider. He didn't ride that stash out all the time. So yeah, he was. I mean, it was more of like 5 o'clock shadow. I think it's him and Chisholm that like, because they look like father and son, right? Like because they really look like father and son, and so because they're kind of like they have that red complexion to them. They got that red hair, and so like. He didn't have that mustache per se, but he trust me, he'd beat on me every once in a while. But again, I got too big for him once I hit the college weights. I mean, I left high school weighing like 189 soaking wet. And then I got to college after a year of college weights, I was up to 240. Like, yeah, I ballooned up. I had a frame on me and I hit them college weights and man, I ballooned.
Well, then how'd you get down to 97?
It wasn't fun.
No.
No. So my first year we redshirted. That was kind of the plan. Yeah. Redshirt first year. And it was more or less acclimating yourself and getting used to college wrestling, which the biggest transition from high school to college, honestly, is the hand fighting. And that's what we did 90% of the time at Augie. We'd come in and the first 30 minutes was hand fighting. And it was, when I mean hand fighting, it was like a brawl. It was like you were fist fighting people for 30 minutes. So you were already drenched by the time you started drilling. So I started out at 89 or 84. I'd cut down from, because I probably weighed walking in to college 200 pounds, which that's not much of a cut. I mean, that's me full-fledged eating all summer, doing whatever you want, right? Eating whatever you want and throwing down Twinkies. So in college, though, I mean, it wasn't hard to lose that weight because, I mean, we practiced 3 times a day. I mean, there was times where we'd have 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock runs. And then at 10 a.m., we had chapel hour at Augie. But we were kind of like, hey, look, you need to come wrestle a match. So we'd go wrestle a match at 10 o'clock from 10 to 11. And then at 4, we'd have practice. So, like, we'd have 3 days every other day, every single day, where it's either swimming in the morning and swimming was a nightmare. I gained weight during swimming. I would be drowned. Oh, yeah, it was terrible. I'm a swimmer. I got there. And I'm literally, you see me, like, because he'd throw like a medicine ball at us when we tread in water and you have to keep it above. I'd catch it. My head would go under, but I'd keep the ball above. I'd be drowning. Copsey, throw it back up before you kill yourself. So, I mean, it was going from 84 to 197 was a big jump. Because then I ballooned up over the summer where I kind of stayed at Augie. And I did the college workout every single day. It was lifting weights every single day. And ate right. We, did all the right things in college. Really, it comes down to your nutrition in college. A lot of kids will make it or break it off of your nutrition. I mean, if you go into college and still eat what you used to eat in high school, because I remember a Mountain Dew or 2 every week during high school was no biggie. That stuff was cut out in college. You couldn't do that and maintain weight, and not just weight, but just your shape. So
yeah. Well, before I forget to mention it, you say Tom Meester, born in a lab, but you have one more trophy than he does behind you.
Yeah, I do. Well,
you do.
So there's a little ambiance to that. We joke about it all.
What?
And so I kind of flip and crap about it because, he's a couple-time national champ. And I was like, hey, well, these four trophies behind me look a lot better than just 3. So
yeah,
it's flip and crap about that. But his was because, so he would have been a 4-time, or possibly a 4-timer or a 3-timer for sure. But he ended up getting an infection at regionals, where they disqualified him and he was ranked number 1 going into regionals, was beating the brakes off everybody, and they disqualified him because he had like, I don't know if it was a staph infection. I don't want to miscue what it was, but it was something that he didn't pass skin checks, and they DQ'd him from the regional tournament.
Oh, no way.
Crazy. Absolutely. Then that's the reason why he wasn't possibly a 4-timer, is because of that. So I gotta be nice. I gotta tread water carefully when I'm like, hey, remember the time you weren't a 4-timer? Like, so you gotta play the waters there.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, whatever. But
yeah, you're right. There's 4 to his 3.
Yep. Yep. So you must have been pretty prepared then, because it sounds like you were, to come in right away, to have success, be an All-American as a redshirt freshman at 197. Before I get there, Augustana was having success. Like, I don't want to make it seem like Augustana was just a dart throw. Like, they get second a few years before you got there. Like, they were good.
They were loaded. Yeah, no, they got second to UNO a few years before I got there.
Yeah.
That's where I kind of heard of them.
Right.
And I still take it to this day on the chin, where UNO, they didn't take any time to recruit me, and I'm 20 minutes away from them, and I took it on the chin. So I took it personally. So UNO was like my number one team I despised the most, because I'm in your backyard, and I didn't even get a phone call from Denny or any of the, Higdon, Ron Higdon.
Right.
Like, no one even gave me a phone call. So I took it on the chin a little bit. Granted, they had Bryce Boehm and Austin Boehm from Iowa already committed to wrestle for them. And then they had Jacob Mars, who was from Kansas, who was another stud that they had at 97. So they already had their upper heavy, 84, 97 filled up. So they probably thought, we don't need this Copsey kid. So, Augie was it was Augie. It reminded me of a lot of the Glenwood LC rival with Augie and UNO. Like,
yeah, we
didn't like them. They didn't like us. They beat the brakes off us a lot, but fun fact, I never lost to a single UNO guy, and I still stack every single day I see him. I'm like, hey, because I had a pat move. I would slide people by. That was my move. It was a slide by. It was a slide by or front head. So don't touch my collar. And I still remember this day at UNO, don't touch his neck. And it's like, someone's going to touch my neck, and they're going to get. So UNO and Augie were, pretty big rivals. My 84-pound year, my redshirt sophomore year, I would see Austin Boehm doing well, because he was a true freshman, and he was the same age as I was. He was a 2006 grad. And so then this first tournament at 84 is at Daktronics, which is in Brookings, South Dakota. I wrestled Austin Boehm and beat him there. And so then I see, yes, beat the UNO guy. But then he goes on to get second that year as a true freshman. So I see that as a freshman, and I'm like, I'm winning. I'm going to be a 4-timer. Like, this is all right. This is going to be this. I mean, in my head, being a cocky, arrogant 19-year-old, like, I'm going to win it all 4 years. It didn't work out that way, but you know what I mean? Like, you see that, and you're like, oh God, I can do this. This is the kid I needed early in that year just goes and wins it all. And then, Daktronics was a nice scope of things, because you see kids from Iowa State, you see kids from Nebraska, you see kids from Iowa Central. I wrestled John Bones Jones there. A couple.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That was the year. I mean, it was my sophomore year. I wrestled John Jones in the quarters, beat him in the corners, move on to the semis. Like, you'd see all these wild, because Iowa Central had a stacked team. I don't think they understand. They were loaded, because they also had Kobe Covington, who's now, like, he was loaded. He was stacked up there. And so they'd have a stacked team to bring. Nebraska would bring in their, their starters or people that are competing to start. So Daktronics was a really eye opener, and it was a tough tournament where Minnesota would bring their studs too every once in a while, and so it was a fun open. But then transitioning from 84 to 97, that was a big jump, and you're probably thinking, like, that's not that much of a. But when you go from like 84 to 97, you're thinking the guy cut down from 240 down to 97. While like I was wrestling men my first year. At 97, like, these were, I looked nothing like them at all. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm just picturing, like, just imagining. All right, I'm looking at 197, and you see like I'm visioning like Jaden Cox and AJ
Yeah,
Ferrari, like those size of people. And then you look at 84 and what those bodies are like. I mean, it's different, you
it is
know?
different. It really, because those guys, you got to think AJ Ferrari. That guy probably walk. I mean, I've seen videos of him deadlifting so much weight where he's probably walking around easily 240 right now.
Right.
So that guy, I mean, that guy's cutting a lot of weight and doing the right things and putting the right things in his body. And that guy's jacked to bar none, looking like a Greek god himself. So, like I said, he's like, it's a big jump to go from that to the, I mean, not only that,
Yes.
but because I'm trying to like compare 84 to 97. Yeah, it's a big jump, but at the same time, like you do get your 84 pounders where you're like, all right, how is he making weight? Because like Tom Meester was 4 pounder, where I'm like, how did you ever make weight? Because you look like a 97 pounder.
What do you say? How did he make weight?
Well, I mean, he has these little chicken legs that I make fun of him about. Like
There it is. Okay.
he's got these little chicken legs. I mean, granted, from the waist up, he's built like a Greek goddess. I mean, but I got the thighs and everything else on him because he's got these little ankles, and so it's all composition. So that's essentially how I made it. It's just little legs.
Yeah.
So don't show him this video. He'll drive down 2 balls to come
Were you? I mean, you had the expectation to be a 4-timer, you know. But when did it start to set in that like? Because I mean, there's a difference between like, all right, I'm saying it like, oh yeah, as a cocky kid, but then there's like, okay, I'm believing it. Like, yeah, this is gonna happen. This is something that can happen. You know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit difference there.
So that kind of set in my first. I would say my first year. It was right away. As soon as you keep a close match with somebody, where you're like, all right, hey, this guy's a Division One. I mean, because I'm wrestling that UNO tournament was a huge UNO tournament, and I go and place second. I won it my freshman year, got second 1 year, and this UNO tournament in college was huge. Like it was the biggest one-day tournament where Okie State would bring their starters. Because I remember wrestling Clayton Foster from Okie State, who was a runner-up to. Well, I could have probably won it, but it was Kilgore from Kent, I think. So like you see, like Division One studs, and I would compete with these guys, and so it's like, all right, look, I think I'm going to do pretty well. Now in the back of my head, I'm like, all right, still like the aim is for those national titles. You want to win it all. Did it happen? No, didn't happen. But 4 times is nothing to write off either. So I guess I shouldn't be so hard on myself.
Yeah. What? Let me ask you a tough question here. What do you think was it that prevented you from ever getting to the top? And maybe it was nothing that you did wrong. Maybe it just.
I can go through each year and kind of give you an explanation. My freshman year, I was grateful to be there. Honestly, it was, I come from a humble beginnings where it's like I wasn't expected to do much. My sophomore as you look back, my first 2 years of high school, I didn't do much, and I exploded my junior, senior year. I didn't hit my peak until college, actually.
Right.
So, I was pretty much grateful just to be there. I probably could have done better. But there was another good wrestler at the same age as I was. His name was Donovan McCahill from somewhere in Colorado, Western Colorado, or can't remember. But he was another, very good, highly recruited wrestler that ended up going there. And he was in the same bracket. Now this is funny because he was only a 3-time All-American. I was a 4 because he choked our sophomore year, at where was it at? It was in Houston at Nationals, and that was a loaded bracket. I mean, you had 2 or 3 national champs in that bracket that won it. You had 3 4-time All-Americans. You had, 97. It was a loaded bracket that year, and so it was kind of open. And there was a few Nebraska boys from there too, from Scott. Matt Farrell was in there, and if I say this to this day that if I didn't beat Matt Farrell round 1, he would have gone on to win the whole thing. Because then on the backside, he still owns the record for the the number of pins at nationals in Division II because he got 6 pins in a row to get
Wow.
third. He pinned everybody in the backside to get third. The guy just went off. After I beat him, he goes and places higher than me at nationals. Because then I go on and I lose in like the quarters to somebody from Ashland named Josh Ohl, who was another Greek goddess looking guy, just stacked out of his mind. And then he lost to somebody from Newberry. I cannot remember his name, but the Newberry kid ended up winning it. But then, it was a loaded bracket my sophomore year, and it was more or less, I call it the sophomore slumps. I didn't take it very seriously. I thought I would just walk through it because I came in, I think I was ranked second or first. I thought I would easily go ahead and win it. I took things for granted my sophomore year. My junior year, I was locked in. Junior year and senior year, I was really locked in. And again, the national finals came down to me and Donovan McHale, where it was, I, to this day, still say it was out of bounds my senior year. But, there'd be bricks being thrown because there weren't bricks back then. Definitely during that match. But, I'll take responsibility that I didn't score enough points to win. It's, you can point fingers. At the end of the day, it's my fault that I didn't win it. So, do I look back and, there'll be nights where I'm like, God, I should have done this. Like, even still, I'm 37, 38 years old. And I still think, like, God, I remember that match. I should have done this in the finals instead of doing this. And so it'll eat at you. But at the end of the day, you're like, whatever. I did well enough. So
I suppose. Yeah. When did it turn from that, from like heartache to, where you're sitting there just like beating yourself up, to appreciation for what you had accomplished and what you were able to accomplish?
20
Or has it yet? Maybe not yet. Maybe it hasn't.
Oh, no. I'm old enough where I'm like, look, I'm washed up. I'm old. I train kids now where they're like, Copsey, why can't you go for more than a minute? I go, you're drinking water at home. I'm drinking a Busch Light. Like, you and I are different. Like,
yeah.
I can't go the 6-minute grind that you guys do. I'm old. I like, we're two different bodies right now. Like, I'll still work out, but I don't work out like I used to. So, I think I think maybe mid-20s. I mean, you grow up, you're like, all right, look, what I did was cool. It was awesome. It was a good run. But at the end of the day, you're like, life moves on. You can't beat yourself up about it. You can't live in the past. So it is what it is. I did well, and I'm grateful for the coaches. And there's so many things I can say thanks for. Like when I got inducted to the Hall of Fame, it was all thanks. And I couldn't thank enough people. So yeah.
What was that call like when you got, the call or email or whatever text that you were getting inducted?
Yeah, that was really cool. I was really, I had no, I was mid-30s,
Right.
Yeah, I even forget sometimes I wrestled in college. Did that back in the day. So, it was an exciting. It was, I wasn't expecting it, honestly. There's so many other great athletes out there that probably deserve it over me, in my thought process. But I'm grateful that, I got that call, and it was an exciting opportunity. I think my mom liked it more than I did. My mom was, like, crying at the Hall of Fame induction. And, I made I had so it's funny because I had some people that were there that I knew that were also inducted, and they're like, I didn't expect your speech to be that good. Apparently, I think I blacked out and did a great speech. People were like, that was a great speech. I expected you to just be a dumb blockhead up there. So I wish I had a video of it, because apparently I blacked out and don't remember. Like, I just blacked out and woke up and was like, did I do a good job? And they're like, yeah, you did a great job. That was one of the better speeches. So it was a blessing, and I'm glad that I was elected, and I'm thankful for sure.
Yeah. Did you ever get looks to, I know, again, it wasn't as big of a deal to transfer out, but was that ever a thought as you were starting to have like some pretty good success in college, where now all of a sudden Nebraska is like, hey, I'm interested, or somebody else is interested to jump another level? Because not obviously, but the goal to a lot of kids is to wrestle D1, and it's like D1 or bust, or they want to at least have that challenge of seeing if they can hang at the Division I level.
I see that all the time, and to the high school kids that are thinking D1 to D2, and they're thinking that like you can do the same thing in D2 as D1. I mean, you still compete with those D1 kids collegiately in open tournaments all the time. I mean, there's handfuls of names of kids that have placed at 97 that I beat, that were placed in third, placed in fourth, and D1s. So you can compete, and it's the same thing because like, I mean, another Glenwood great, Matt Malcolm.
Yeah. Yep.
Goes and beats a bunch of D1, guys that are placing like the only difference is the title is the name. I mean, because you'll see Delagnev, obviously another great Division II wrestler, going to do great things in the worlds. Like he competed in the worlds, did well there. It's just a title, honestly. But yes, I did have. It was after my freshman year. So it was after my freshman year. I go and place third at nationals, right? So my redshirt freshman year, go and get third at nationals, and I had people reach out to me, and it was Iowa coaches. There were some Iowa State people chirping at me. Like you do get some attention, whether it was illegal or I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Because at the time you're like a young 19-year-old, you think you're on top of the world and people are talking to you. So then I brought it up to Jason and was just like, hey, look, I was just forthcoming about it. Like, hey, look, Jason, there are people now. They are, and let's be honest. Sometimes it comes down like, hey, look, they're offering this for money wise, but at the same time, he's like, Jason stood his ground, and Jason was like, look, Ty, we can get you a little bit of money, but what we have here is what we have here. And so then at the end of the day, Jason kind of stood his ground, and I appreciate that. I had a long talk with my parents, obviously, and I could have easily transferred because back in the early 2000s, 97 in Iowa, it was open. There wasn't a per se stud at 97 and at Iowa. So, that was in the back of my mind was, I'm an Iowa boy. Let's go back and let's go be a Hawkeye. But, Jason stood his ground. Jason was like, hey, look, you needed to be a big boy and make your own decision. And it really matured me a lot to like listen to him. Like, hey, look, he's like, yeah, people are going to offer you more money. That's going to always happen in life. But, is it a better fit for you? So he really kind of checked me and put me into perspective of like,
yeah,
you have a great thing here. You have a great, like, and I truly believe that it's not all about D1, D2. It's about the family that you have behind you. Because, you could be the best wrestler. Like, I could say names of studs from my time that didn't go on to do well in collegiate wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a good foundation at that college, or didn't have a good family that was backing them at that college. You know what I mean? Not per se their immediate family, but like I call the family the wrestling family.
Yeah, for sure.
It's got to be a good fit. It shouldn't be, I made a D1. I don't know. I wasn't always a big believer. And it's like, oh, I'm going D1. I'm the best. Like, all right, well, have you checked out, these other, Mankato? Have you checked out Maryville? Have you checked, like,
yeah.
Be open to everything. Always open to everything. So
what about the class sizes? Because that's the one thing I kind of think of too when I think of difference between like Division II, Division I. I went to the University of Iowa right out of college, or right out of high school, and I walked into 300 people, but then I went to Upper Iowa a couple years later. I walked into a class of 20, 30 people. That was a big shock. Accountability, essentially.
There's more accountability. You're held accountable. You're not lost in the swamp of people.
Right.
If I went to Iowa, or if I went to Iowa State, like, I probably would have got lost in the flow of things. Would have made friends. I would have just got lost.
Right.
The Augustana fit was great. I had a class of 10. Like,
mm-hmm.
Knew your professors' names. They knew you down to the core. If something came up, they were like, cool, turn it in next week. Like, we get it. You have wrestling. You don't know that for other, Division I, where like a Division I school comes first, you're a student, athlete second. So like it was nice in that aspect of the smaller. It fit my personality better. I like,
For sure. Yeah.
because then I would have just been a fish in the pond as opposed to a bigger fish in a smaller pond. So
yeah. Do you have any issues academically?
No. 3.0 student, nothing crazy, nothing too low, but nothing.
Yeah. But like, I mean, did you have to really work at it? Was it something like did academics come a little more natural, a little easier to you, where you could, study for a little bit, do assignments, and take the test and be fine?
It was tough. I mean, a private Lutheran college, I mean, they're obviously going to be a little more stringent. Yeah, it's tough balancing. That was I mean, now my freshman year, you don't want to ask about my grades my freshman year. Cumulative, I ended up doing well, but my first year, I about dropped out. My academics
Really?
because I didn't manage my time wisely. Transitioning from, because in high school, I mean, high school is simple. It's easy.
Yeah.
Like, fall asleep in class and still walk out with a B. But like, I didn't manage my time wisely. You have I mean, we came in with a big class of 14 wrestlers on one. Like, if 14, it's kind of a lot for a wrestling team. So, and so it's funny. They put us all on the same floor in the dorm room, and it was the dumbest idea that I called. And ever since then at Augie, they don't put all the wrestlers on the same floor. It was ruined that for Augie completely. So
why? What happened?
Oh well, I mean, we would just there were pranks that we have a lot of fun. We would we'll just put it that way. For lack of better terms, we were dumb 18-year-old kids going in there because we didn't know anybody, and so I mean, it's not like we were out, drinking all the time. The stupid stuff we'd go do that would be like, I mean, I'll just keep it appropriate. Just say there was some dumb stuff we did. Because I go on share. I don't know because I don't know who this is advertised to, and so I'll just say there were some dumb stuff we did, and we'd have some fun, and we'll leave it at that.
I love it. And because that's also part of college too, a little bit. Kind of being a little, you're on your own. You're with a bunch of other like-minded or wrestlers, and you kind of do some stupid stuff. Maybe you put a mattress on the roof of the dorm or something. I don't know, but
we did stuff like that. We'd go do something called we put ornaments of so like we would put like ornaments in like college. So the campus of Augie's very small, all right, but like you knew everybody on the campus, and people would put out like Christmas ornaments, and we would know the houses that would put out Christmas ornaments, and we would go put them in inappropriate positions, like to like reindeer doing something inappropriately in the front yard. They'd call campus safety, hey, someone's jacking with our reindeer again. We thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's kind of it's funny. Yeah,
harmless things, like it wasn't anything like malicious. It was just stupid stuff. We would just,
It's funny.
Yeah, it wasn't like I mean, it was nice because the team, because everybody here, you go to college, you have fun, you drink. Like, it wasn't a big thing like that. We were more focused on our wrestling and our academics. And yeah, we cut loose a few times here and there, but it wasn't anything crazy. But we'd like to have pranks. We'd mess around with each other. Big thing. So
it's harmless. It's harmless fun. It's harmless.
19. Yeah, we're not breaking the rules. We're just bending them a little bit. So.
Yeah. And no one's getting hurt. You're not defacing any property. I mean, I guess maybe a little bit, but you're not.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. What did you end up graduating with?
So I ended up graduating with a degree in elementary, K through 8. Taught for 10 years, coached for 5. I just recently, I would say 3 years ago, got out of teaching. Just lost the joy after COVID. Just COVID hit and everything. And kind of like, all right, like let's try something else out. And then got into sales. Did pretty well in sales, and just have stayed in sales since.
Yeah, I guess I should ask you, what So you came at a crossroads there your freshman year where your academics were not very great and you almost dropped out. What stopped you from like dropping out? How did you, turn the corner? Oh, your mom?
Just pretty
Yeah.
much trained me. I mean, back, different generation where she's like, you grow up, Ty. Like, time for you to grow up, time to be a big boy, figure it out. And so, mom, dad kind of pushed me to grow up and figure it out because they're like, look, we'll cut all ties. Like, you're on your own now. You're 18. Like, we aren't going to support somebody that's not trying or at least giving effort. So, because mom and dad did help through college a little bit here and there. I mean, most parents can honestly attest to like trying to help out. I mean, they flipped me because I mean, most of it came through financial aid, the FAFSA and all that stuff. But
right,
your parents will help you out when you're in a tough spot. So, I'm grateful for my mom and dad always being there and always, Michelle and Ron were always there to make sure that I had a roof over my head, and at the same time, they have a swift kick to the ass if I did something dumb like that. So they're like, all right, time for you to grow up. It's like, you're an idiot. I need to do better.
Yeah. So what did you do differently? Like, did you get a tutor? Did you just start actually maybe applying yourself a little more? Like, what kind of changed there?
It's the application, 100%. Yeah. Like, if you flunk out of college, it's all based off of your effort and application. It's not that you're not smart. Anybody can go to college and finish a degree. It's just all about perseverance and applying yourself. Anyone can do that. It's just a matter of applying yourself. And I was just honestly just lazy and not doing things, not showing up to class, just doing the stuff that you shouldn't be doing. Along with that, Reitmeyer kind of kicked it into gear, and he's like, "You're going to be in study group." You didn't want to be in study group because so it was after practice every Monday. In study group, it was always based on your GPA the like semester before. And so then I got stuck in the study group, which is a 4-hour study group on Mondays, which you did not want to be a part of because Reitmeyer would sit there and make sure you're actually doing, like, he was there. And so then it was miserable because it was like, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to, cause like, I would get myself done in 2 hours and I'd be like, I don't have anything else. He's like, well, read a book. And I'm like, what?
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty common story of, you kind of get a little bit of leeway. You go to college now. Yeah, I did that at Iowa. I don't have to go to class. What? It was like a revelation. I'm like, no one's telling me. Like, in high school, your mom's like, or dad, obviously, yeah, go to class, go to school. What the heck? But in college, you're like, no one's telling me to go. I don't have to go. No one's gonna get mad.
Just hang out. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I took the other route where I didn't go back until a few years ago when I graduated Nebraska. But yeah, so props to you for, because you could have still went the other way. You could have went like,
and a lot of kids. Yep.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, fine. I've seen a lot of kids do that. And so like we had 14. I think we graduated with 7. I mean, you'll see kids leave and drop out. It happens all the time. It's like anything new. But yeah, no, I am glad I stuck it out. I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, college always wasn't the most fun because then you get those essays and you stay up for finals. But I'm glad I stuck it out and persevered through it. So.
Yeah, the last downer thing I want to ask you about is your senior year. You end up 4th, but you medically forfeited in that match for 4th. Was that kind of a bittersweet moment to have to?
Yeah, no,
do that? Was that pretty difficult?
That was a tough one because I lost to Donovan McCahill because like back then they didn't see the tournament. It wasn't. They would just draw you in. So you had number 1 and number 2 in the quarterfinals matching up with each other, which is me and Donovan. And again, that's where I go back and play there was an out of it. So he took me down first, then I slid him by afterwards. It was a tight up. We ended up going to overtime. What I thought was out of bounds wasn't out of bounds on a low leg single. And I kind of stopped wrestling because I thought I heard the whistle blow. And again, always wrestle to the whistle until someone actually stops you. And that was, again, a thing on me. So then I go back to the backside after that. Ended up teching the national champ so there was a guy from, and I don't know if you have the bracket, if you're looking at the bracket, but there is a guy that I ended up not teching, but there's a lot of points I put up on this guy, but he ends up going and winning it the next year. Oh God, what is his name? McPeak or
yeah, McPeak, Luke McPeak.
The guy goes and wins it like the next year, and like in fashion of winning it the next year, and I go and like, I don't remember the score, but I put a lot of points up on him.
18-7. I did. Yeah, I just pulled up right here. 18-7.
18 points for me is a lot of points. Like I mean that's a lot for me. So and that was where the incident happened. He started getting frustrated because he was good, but he was very good. But he was kind of like he reminded me of a lot of a funk wrestler. He was like a Ben Askren. He would bring the funk. He would get in scramble situations, but I was very good at scrambling also too, to where like I would, and I don't think he was a big 97 pounder. And back then I was a big 97 pounder. And so I was able to kind of stop his funk, kind of like fat man him a little bit. And then in the end of that match, it was 18-7, and I kind of shot a low leg single. He took his other knee and literally dropped in the back of my head, and I was out, like cold, completely out. Laying on and so then there was like maybe 5 seconds left of the match too. So my coach came in the middle of the match. There was a big thing. Apparently they got into it and were scuffling and yelling at the kid.
Wow.
And I woke up not knowing where I was even at. Like, what's going on, guys? Like, what's happening? And there was 5 seconds of the match, and they're like, "Do you just want to finish the 5 seconds?" The kid was standing there. I'm like, "All right, sure, whatever." So we stood there for 5 seconds. We ended the match. It ended up being because he didn't get DQ'd. It showed the score. Mm-hmm. And then I go back. They test me, and they're like, "Yeah, you like." They physically wouldn't let me compete. So like, it wasn't my choice. Mm-hmm. The medical team at Kearney at the time was like, "You're not competing. Like you're done. We're not going to let you compete. You're not cleared to wrestle." The medical doctor did not clear me, which is, I mean, it's a guy from Upper Iowa that I've beaten all year. What was his name?
Froghammer. It was Carl.
Yeah. So I wrestled him all year. Whatever. I mean, I always say I got third. Yeah. In my head, I was like, I got third. Like, it would have been another third, but that's me just being an arrogant idiot. But I mean, it was tough. It sucked. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, you always want to place an odd number. You always want an odd number. You never want an even number. You never want to end fourth, sixth. You want to end that first, third, fifth. Because you always want to go out and win. So I mean, that sucked. But at the end of the day, if it's out of your hands, it's out of your control. What are you gonna, there's nothing you can do about it. If that's out of your control. You can't sweat it too much. It is what it is, and just bad luck.
Well, because that time too, and I think it's still to this day, but I mean, how much longer was it from your Conci semis to the third place match? Like, what was that wait time? Because I'm sure if you had yep.
They went fast on the backside. There wasn't a time limit like in high school where like you need to wait 30 minutes. I remember at UNO Wrestling, that big UNO Wrestling tournament they had, that one day tournament, the Lee's, I can't remember the name of it, but there was a time where if you're a heavier wrestler, your brackets aren't as big as 41, 49. So you wouldn't wrestle. You'd show up at 7, you'd weigh in, but you wouldn't wrestle until 1. Then you'd win. You'd wrestle at 3, and then you'd wrestle at like 6. But then you start going 6 to 6:10 to 6:15 to 6. Like you go back to back to back. No, it was crazy.
Yeah, because I forget who I was just talking to the other day about Division IIs and how it's that quick, that quick of a turnaround. So I wonder, maybe if it was a little longer turnaround, you might have had a better chance to get cleared, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they ended up sending me to because they're like, well, you're highly dehydrated. It's like the doctors were like surprised that I was dehydrated. They're like, we're going to send you to the nearest hospital. I'm like, I know I'm dehydrated.
No kidding. Jeez.
Like, crazy. Like a wrestler's dehydrated. Like, wild. Like it was just like, you're severely dehydrated. We're gonna send you out to the hospital. I'm like, all right, whatever, do what you gotta do. So,
Yeah. I mean, kind of a sour ending to an awesome career, but at
yeah.
the end of the day, it sounds like, you've come to terms with it, and
Yeah.
you know, four trophies behind you, Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
hasn't been too bad, I
No,
guess.
it was a great ride. It was a fun ride. Made a lot of friends along the way, and I mean, there's not much more you can ask for.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. Special thanks to my guest, Ty Copsey, for taking the time to sit down and chat with me. Cover art created and designed by Kristen Gill. Please feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe to this podcast. You can also check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and my Facebook page to hear more of my content. And don't forget, check out my website at letstalkwrestlingpodcast.my.canva.site. And as always, be sure to tune in to hear the next guests of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. Take care. See you next time.